Hello and welcome to the XPanel 5000 software overview tutorial. My name is Scott Wilkinson, and today I wanted to help you get started using XPanel 5000 to design or redesign your aircraft instrument panel. Now the first thing you're going to want to do is select the appropriate panel template, and you do that by clicking on the combo box in the upper right hand corner of the screen. This brings up the panel template selection window with all the preloaded panel templates ordered alphabetically, and you can scroll to the one you want, select it from the list, verify that looks correct, and say use this template. That loads the template in the main panel design window for you. Now we're ready to start adding equipment to our panel, and we do that using the equipment tree over here on the left. XPanel comes preloaded with more than 1,000 pieces of equipment, so you should be able to find what you're looking for. Let's say I wanted to add a Garmin PFD to this panel. I'd come over to the avionics display, PFDs and EFIS, scroll down, find my Garmin, drag and drop that onto my panel. Then if I want to add the MFD, I can go back up, find the MFDs, and drag and drop my Garmin onto the panel there. Now you may have noticed as I add equipment to the panel, it automatically shows up down in this panel equipment list. The system also automatically totals the cost, the weight, and the amperage draw if you enter the amperage numbers. In fact, let's go ahead and do that. As I select any piece of equipment in the system, it shows up down here in the equipment details window. But this window also serves as a quick edit window, and so I can just go ahead and type in my max amperage draw here, click save, and you'll see that number is reflected in the list over here. And also anytime I add this piece of equipment to any future panels, my changes will be reflected. So let's go ahead and change the number for the MFD as well. Click save, and now you see it's keeping my total amperage as well. Now if I want to add an audio bar to this panel, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over and resort this list by manufacturer. And I do that using the combo box below the list. Sometimes it's just easier to find equipment by manufacturer than it is to drill down through the categories and subcategories. So here I've scrolled down to Garmin, and I've got the soundbar I want, drag and drop that on the panel. Now you'll notice that my equipment's not necessarily aligned and spaced correctly. To align and space equipment, what you want to do is group it together. And there's a couple ways to do that. The first way is hold down the control key and click on each piece of equipment that you want to add to the group. Once you've clicked on each piece once, you'll see that it moves as a single group. If I wanted to release one of the pieces from the group, I just click on that piece again, and now it's not in the group anymore. Want to add it back, just click on it again, and now it's back in the group. Once I have selected a group of equipment, you'll see that these alignment and spacing icons become active, and so I can align the bottoms, and then I can come over and click the 1/4 inch spacing, and now they're all aligned and spaced a 1/4 inch apart. Now I can drag these into the position I want them in, but also while I have the group selected, I can use my arrow keys to put them precisely where I want them. Then when I'm done with the group, I release the control key, and that releases the group. Another way to select a group of equipment is to rubber band the equipment, and the way you do that is you hold the control key and you drag your mouse around or over any part of the piece of equipment, and then when you release your mouse, those pieces will be selected. Okay, let's add some switches to this panel, and to do that I'm going to go back and reorder my list by classification and come up to electrical system, switches and toggles, and let's say I want to add 6 of these rocker switches to the panel. Well, I can click and drag them one at a time onto the panel and then group them and align them and space them like I did with the other equipment, but there's an easier way. But before I show you that easier way, let me show you how you remove equipment from the panel. Anytime you want to remove a piece of equipment, you just right click on it and say remove item, and it's gone. If you need to remove multiple pieces of equipment, sometimes it's easier to come down to the equipment list, right click on it here, and just say remove all, and then they're all gone. But now the easiest way to add multiple pieces of equipment to the panel is to right click on that piece of equipment in the equipment tree and choose add to panel. That brings up this little context menu that asks you how many you want to add. And so if I wanted to add 6, I just click 6, and now 6 rocker switches have been added in the upper left hand corner, one on top of the other. And I'll just select those by rubber banding them, holding my control key and dragging my mouse around them. Hit my 1/4 inch horizontal spacing, and now I've got 6 switches spaced nice and evenly apart. Now let's say I wanted to increase the spacing between those switches. Well, XPanel has a feature called user-defined spacing. And to set that user-defined spacing, I can come up here to the menu bar to Tools and Options and Group Spacing, and I could set that spacing at whatever I wanted. Then, if I come down here and rubber band my switches and click this user-defined horizontal spacing, it'll put my switches an inch apart. That looks a little wide to me, so I think I'll change my user-defined spacing to a little smaller. And another way, a shortcut way to set your spacing is Control G. Or, since I'm holding the control key while I've got a group selected on my panel, I can just press the G key. And it brings up this little menu, which lets me set my spacing to what I want. I come back up and click this icon, and there, that looks a lot better to me. So I'll drag them over about where I want them, use my arrow keys to refine it, and then release my control key, which releases the group. And I think while I'm here, I'll just drag an ignition switch onto the panel as well. Now, one of the last tricks I want to show you is adding a circuit breaker panel. Let's say that I wanted to add 15 circuit breakers to this panel, and I'll do it in 3 rows of 5. Well, the quickest way to do that is to come up here, select my circuit breakers, find the circuit breaker that I want, right click on it since I want to add multiples, choose add to panel, and tell it to add 10 of them. And since I want to add 15, I'm going to do the same thing again, but select 5. Now I can verify that 15 circuit breakers have been added to my panel. And then if I'll come up and rubber band these and click my 1/4 inch spacing, you see my 15 circuit breakers. Now, all while holding the control key, I'm just going to go ahead and select this first 5 of them and drag those below this top group. Maybe refine my positioning a little bit with my arrow keys. Drag the last 5 and place those below and put them about where I want them. And then drag the entire, rubber band the entire group and drag those down where I want them on the panel, and then release my control key, and there's my nice 3 rows, 5 circuit breakers per row panel. Now, I'm not going to build an entire panel today, but I will show you one more feature. If you have the professional version of the software, you can click this little add new label icon, and that will bring up the label creator, which lets you create labels and placards, and you can customize them any way you want them. You can set the font family, the font size, the color, background colors, borders, border thickness. But today I think I'll just stick with the defaults, and I'm going to add an N number label. So I'll make it November X-ray Papa 5 Kilo. And when I choose save, it adds that label to the equipment tray. So if I close this, I can now drag and drop my label on the panel. Maybe I'll move that just a little bit. And there we have it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the tutorial today. If you haven't done so already, be sure to go to www.xpanelsoftware.com and download your free trial version of the software or purchase the full version. I'm Scott Wilkinson. Have a great day.